#1 college radio station. My next guest is very unique, being for the fact that he worked for both Don Imus and Mike Francesa when he was at WFA, and he also does the play-by-play for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on 710 WOR, along with Ray Lucas and Eric LeGrand. It's some great stuff. Temple is going to go to New Jersey this Saturday and get ready for a 12 o'clock matchup with the Scarlet Knights. So let's welcome in the play-by-play voice of Rutgers football, and that is my good buddy Chris Carlin. Chris, it's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, and like I mentioned in the intro, you got the honor to work for both Imus and Mike Francesa when it was Mike and the Mad Dog, and you would sometimes do the morning sports reports after you replaced Sid Rosenberg, and then you went to produce Mike and Dog. Who was tougher to work, though, for? Was it Imus or Mike Francesa?
I think the answer is yes. You know what? As much as listen, it was a lot of fun. You know, you look back and those guys, they're demanding, but there's nothing wrong with being demanding, and that's because they want it to be great, and I think that, you know, that's something that kind of helps you later in life, and it definitely grew from those experiences, no doubt.
Now, you got to produce Mike and the Mad Dog, and that's one of the best, if not the best, sports talk shows ever in the country. When you were producing that show, did you realize how great they were at the time? I know the show already developed.
Well, yeah, I did, Zach, because you know what? I grew up like so many other people in the tri-state area listening to them. They came together when I was a senior in high school, and I really kind of fell in love with the show from then on. And you know, in college and in high school when I'd be home, I worked for a drugstore and I'd be out delivering. And, you know, it was always great whenever I had long runs to make because I'd get to listen for longer. You know, I loved it from the first time I heard it, and I think that, listen, I miss it. There's no doubt I missed it. I think they both do great shows by themselves, but I miss them when they're together. When they're not together, there's no doubt.
No question, the duo was like no other. Chris Carlin, play-by-play voice of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, joins us, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. And Chris, Gary Nova, there was some controversy earlier in the week. It was unclear if he was going to start. Now he's going to be the starter on Saturday. 7 interceptions in his last 2 games. What do you think factored into the decision of Coach Kyle Flood to stick with this QB at quarterback?
Well, I think he still has a lot of faith in what Gary can do. You know, Gary is a guy that has made an awful lot of plays in his career and has done an awful lot of good. I think it's just frustrating that he got into a little bit of a rut the last couple of weeks, whether it was decisions or being a little bit inaccurate. You know, it's not always the worst thing to kind of sit back and take a look at what's going on and what's gone wrong, and that kind of happened in the second half last week. Gary had a good week of practice, so did Chase Dodd for that matter, and I think that, you know, Gary is certainly somebody that has shown the ability to bounce back and play better after having a rough outing, so we'll see how he fares tomorrow. You know, Chase, if he's called upon, will be right there and ready to go, and that's a guy with an awful lot of experience. He's got 16 starts in his career, too, so these are 2 guys that have played a lot of football at Rutgers.
Hey, Chris, it's Chase Sr. Pleasure to talk to you. You work a little bit with Eric LeGrand, and how much of an inspiration is he not just to the entire country and the Rutgers community, but to you as well?
You know, he's just the best. He really is, and I'll tell you what, admittedly, I only knew him a little bit before the injury, and I've really gotten to know him since the injury, and I don't know that inspiration really covers it because I don't know that I've never seen the kid without a smile, and it's amazing. The perspective that he has and the hand that he's been dealt, he feels like he was given this Herculean task for a reason, and this young man, along with a lot of people, believe he's going to walk again. And Eric is, I'll tell you what, he's just a remarkable guy to be around week in and week out. And, you know, he's like you guys in that he's learning about broadcasting too. And it's something that has really interested him for a long time. So he's come in and joined us. And, you know, it's the same kind of thing. It's a learning curve. He's learning how to do it. He's learning the finer points. But I'll tell you, in terms of giving good analysis of what's going on, he's got the ability to be able to do that, to be able to to tell the listener exactly what's going on in the field with the play, away from what I'm telling them. And I think it's really remarkable, and he's got a terrific work ethic in that regard too. Every week he's into it. He's watching film. He's getting a sense of what the other team's trying to do, and I couldn't enjoy working with him more.
Temple entered the season with Connor Riley, a junior, at quarterback, and he did a couple of good things, had a decent showing against Notre Dame, but ultimately struggled. And once the wins started to not mount for Temple, they started implementing a lot of younger guys into the game plan. That's led by freshman quarterback P.J. Walker, who in the last couple of weeks has looked really good, done some very nice things, and also made some rookie mistakes as well. They put up 49 points against SMU last weekend. What have you seen from this Temple attack that seemingly is gaining confidence every single week?
Well, look, I think P.J. Walker's an incredible athlete, and you can see that. You see what he did last week against SMU, and that's pretty impressive. You nearly rush for 100 yards. You throw for nearly 300 yards, and combine for 5 touchdowns. I'll tell you, you can see what different aspect he brings to that offense, and I think that certainly helps a lot. And when you run the offense that Temple runs, spread it, it's just becoming so difficult to defend. And it's amazing, guys. You look around the country, and there's not that same level of defense that there has been in college football in years past. And I think the reason is so many teams are running the spread, and it's so difficult to stop and account for everybody that teams are still learning and still trying to figure out how to adjust to it. And I think that that's pretty interesting, the way normally you see defenses adjust over the course of time. We haven't seen it that much quite yet, but I'm interested to see how much longer it takes for defenses to catch up to offenses.
When you see P.J. Walker, he extends the plays with his legs. He had 100 rushing yards last week. You see him able to throw that deep ball as he hit Robbie Anderson on one of his first throws in his collegiate career up against Louisville for 50-plus yards. And the best way to keep him off the field is to go on, when the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are on offense, to go on some long drives. And we've seen Justin Goodwin really emerge over the last few weeks. He got 31 carries last week. Do we expect to see more carries from the running back this upcoming week?
Well, look, Rutgers makes no secret about what they want to do offensively and defensively. They want to run the football. They want to stop the run first and foremost on both sides. And, Justin's a true freshman from Madison, New Jersey, and he's really done a terrific job of working his way into this rotation. Paul James at the beginning of the year was just lights out for the first couple of games before he hurt his leg against Arkansas. So now Goodwin has stepped up in his place, against SMU in a big game. As you guys noted, 31 carries this past week. Kyle Flood's not afraid to ride the hot back, and he's done that in years past. He did that last year. He had guys with 38, 39, 40 carries in games. When those guys are going well, he's going to continue to hand them the football. I think Justin's done an amazing job of not only stepping in, understanding the offense, figuring out what they're trying to do, but at the same time, really making his offensive line very happy with the way he sets up blocks very well.
Chris Carlin joins us right now on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. He'll be on the call in WOR for this Saturday's game between the Rutgers Scarlet Knights and the Temple Owls. And Chris, when you see these two teams and their weapons that they have on offense, for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, one name that comes to mind is Leonte Carew, and for the Temple side, it's Robbie Anderson, both two receivers who aren't afraid to make the big play. When you get in one of these games, and I expect this game to be close on Saturday, stopping that big play is a must, and both Carew and Robbie Anderson could both give you that big play for 6.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, look at Robbie Anderson's numbers from last week, 9 for 239, setting the school record. I mean, that's pretty remarkable, and you just talked about the big play he had against Louisville. I think that, with Leonte, he came in, and in the opener against Fresno State out there, here's a kid that, in his first game at receiver, he played last year, as we know, on special teams. In his first game at receiver, catches 3 touchdowns, including, frankly, a circus catch very late in that game. Leonte's a special athlete, and he's a special guy with his mentality. He learns quickly. He absorbs all he can from the older guys at Karan Pratt and Brandon Coleman. I think that Leonte is somebody that's going to have a terrific career at Rutgers. I really do.
The Rutgers defense has given up about 320 yards per game through the air. What, in your opinion, has been the debilitating factor with that unit?
Well, I think you've got just some inexperience in the secondary. You look at the numbers. I don't want to say they're skewed, but you played two teams that were in Fresno and in SMU, as you guys saw last week, that run the spread, run the run and shoot, and they're going to throw the football, and that's just all there is to it. So at Louisville a couple of weeks ago, Rutgers lost Lou Toller, who is a fifth-year transfer from Western Michigan, was a three-year starter there, and he was starting at corner for Rutgers to a broken arm for the season. And after that game, Ian Thomas, who had played an awful lot for the Scarlet Knights and was one of their more athletically gifted corners, decided that he didn't want to play football anymore and was going to go pursue a baseball career at another school. And it was a little bit of a surprise, no doubt, but you got to kind of move on from there. So then you're getting deeper into the secondary, and younger guys are starting to play, whether it's Anthony Chaffee and Nadir Barnwell, and Nadir suspended for this game tomorrow because of a violation of team rules. There are a lot of different things that have kind of factored in, but I think you've got a lot of younger guys in the secondary. Jeremy Deering is a senior back there, but it's first year playing safety. Lorenzo Waters has been a little bit banged up, and he's been one of the leaders out there too. Got hurt on the first play last week, so I think injuries have certainly played a major factor in that regard, especially back in the secondary with as much inexperience as they have.
Chris, on the way out here, as Chris Carlin joins us, WOR play-by-play voice of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. When I think of Rutgers football, two things come to mind. Your call for pandemonium in Piscataway when they defeated Louisville, and also the job that Greg Schiano did before he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this has been a Bucs team that doesn't have a win on the season. Many people are calling for Schiano to be fired. Do you see him ending up being successful in the NFL, or can you see him making a return back to college football?
Listen, I think it could go either way. I think Greg is far too smart a coach to not find a way to bounce back here in the NFL. And, I learned an awful lot about the game from him over the course of 12 years. I think that he's got to find a way to get it straightened out. That being said, certainly he had a lot of success on the college level. I could see him making a return there, but who knows how this is going to play out. You have to treat the NFL differently than you treat college and the way you treat players. And I think that Greg, I'm a little bit surprised that the transition hasn't been smoother because he'd been an assistant in the league before. But you have to, when you have a guy that has done things one way and he's been successful that way, you certainly understand why he continues to do it that way. So, we'll see how it plays out. If he ends up not making it for the long haul with the Buccaneers, I can't see it being very long before he has another job, certainly on the college level.
Now, final one here right before we let you go. Last year you came to our house. Rutgers didn't play that well in the first half, but then they came out in the second half throwing the football, and Nova was able to get that team the victory. But we talked about the cheesesteak situation here in Philadelphia and how you were very happy with the press box food at the Link. Will I be satisfied with the press box food at Rutgers Stadium coming up on Saturday?
I don't think you'll be disappointed. What remains to be seen is, will it be breakfast or lunch that's out early tomorrow, or a brunch-type situation? I've seen both for these noon games. So myself, I'm curious, too. I'm a breakfast guy, Zach. And listen, I'll be happy if they throw anything out there, but I don't think you'll be disappointed at all.
Is it bacon, egg, and cheese? What kind of food do we see for the breakfast hours in Piscataway?
I think you could be looking at that. I think you could be looking at some bagels. I think that could happen. Last week, little pulled pork instead. That worked well. So listen, it could be anything, but if you're not happy with it, just go out to the parking lot. Anybody will share. There's plenty of tailgating out there for you.
Well, we all know they won't share in Philadelphia if you have enemy colors on, but Chris, we appreciate a few minutes today, and we'll see you on Saturday.
All right, Zach, be good.